Okay, hey guys, so we have six seniors from last year that graduated, or okay, alumni. So I'm gonna first ask you guys to introduce yourself, what college you go to, and like if you have your major decided or if you don't.
Thanks, Amaya. My name's Sydney Clark. I go to West Virginia Wesleyan College. I'm in nursing, and I also play D2 volleyball.
I'm Leah Shapiro. I go to Loyola Marymount University, and then I'm studying marketing.
My name is Zara Palavani. I go to Harvard College. I'm on the D1 fencing team, and undeclared major, but will probably be neuroscience.
My name's Matthew Kikuchi, and I attend the University of Pennsylvania.
I'm Connor Ahmed. I go to Boston University. I'm a poli-sci and biology major on the pre-med track.
Sorry, I'm double majoring in mechanical engineering and physics, and I'm minoring in mathematics and on engineering entrepreneurships.
My name is Miranda, and I go to Cornell University studying classics.
Okay, awesome. So, okay, give them a round of applause. Okay, so I'm gonna start off by asking you guys a couple of questions. You don't all have to answer in one, like all of you. You could just do like a couple of you at a time. And then at the end, I'm gonna ask the audience if they have any questions for you guys. So the first question is, what did you look for in your college, / like what did you look for when you were listing down your colleges? And how did you narrow down your list to the school you decided? Anyone who wants to go?
For me, I knew that I wanted to be on the West Coast, so I mainly applied to California. And then I also applied to surrounding schools like Arizona, Colorado, Utah. So that was my big thing. And then I was in between two schools. I was between LMU and then Chapman University. And so what I did is I listed out my pros and cons, and then I actually found that I had the same amount of pros and cons for both schools. But when I was looking at it, I realized that LMU was more business-based, like more job opportunity-based, while Chapman would have just given me the opportunity to be more comfortable, like in my environment. And my number one thing going into the college application process was that I wanted to find a good job out of college, so that's why I chose LMU.
Okay, and then tell us about like any challenges you've encountered on campus so far, like through academics, extracurriculars, balancing social life, if you guys have experienced any so far.
So I play 20 hours of like care hours, which is like volleyball hours, plus I do 17 credits, plus I'm in SAC, which is like a student athlete organization. So I just feel like being involved and everything like that and having a community to support you. Because at the beginning, I feel like I was having a hard time balancing volleyball, school, and other activities.
I chose a class I wasn't like, I didn't really look into like what I needed for my classes, which is a mistake, which I should have done. So that was kind of rough, like getting used to the class, and yeah, that was my trouble first.
Yeah, I would say like Sydney's point, how having an organization that you're part of is a really big part of trying to transition to college too. So I would say if you're thinking about colleges, look up any organizations you want to be part of, like clubs, sports, that kind of thing. And then once you get to campus, just try to sign up for as much as possible so that you can kind of root out what you really like, who you like to be around later.
Okay, great. So the next thing I'm going to ask is, how did Meadows help you transition to college? And were there any things that you would suggest an underclassman or a senior going to college now that they should do this summer before they go to college?
I do recommend trying to take an AP or an AT of like humanities and science, because ultimately college, they want to make you well-rounded. I didn't take any like AT or AP English, and I kind of regret that because I needed to take writing for my first 2 semesters. So I'd recommend undergraduate or underclassmen to take at least an AP or an AT of like humanities or science, just to get a feel of it.
Yeah, definitely echoing that point. Try to diversify your AP classes. I know that it's, attractive to be taking AP Physics and like a lot of the harder AP classes, but diversifying your transcript will definitely help you out in college. And like my school, for instance, doesn't accept a lot of AP credits, but at the same time, taking those AP classes was still very, very helpful because it prepared me for the academic rigor across the board for my classes, and that applies for the humanities just as much as it applies to the STEM courses.
I'm going to go a little bit beyond academics. I would say setting up a routine and starting to build skills that you don't really think about right now. For example, I'm home for winter break and I'm going and I'm cooking with my mom every day. So eventually in the future, I can start cooking for myself, setting up routines. And I really recommend, especially as a high schooler, just start setting up a Google Calendar. Put any event you have, any meeting, any club event. It really helps when it comes to time management. And when every hour of your time in college is being used up every once in a while, it's really helpful to know what you have going on in a day and setting up routines and things.
Okay, thanks, Matthew. So you brought up a great topic about like how you guys are all like home right now, and being away from home can create challenges in college sometimes. So how have you guys experienced any homesickness, or how have you dealt with it in college so far this year?
I think the biggest thing that helped me is just like staying in contact and like communicating like with my family back home. Like I know that I call my mom every Thursday night and we have like dinner together. And like over the FaceTime, or like my friends, we call each other, we text each other. I just think that also helps, like makes you feel like, oh, I'm not like away at college like that far. Like we're still like communicating and still being really close.
Going off of that, I do the same thing as Sydney. I set up like a schedule with my parents of when I call them, and I make sure that it's at least once a week, but I normally try to call them almost every day. It's a little weird knowing when you're in a dorm that like you can't just go down the way to go see your parents, like their room is not right next to you or anything like that anymore. But just keeping yourself busy and just finding activities on campus really helps.
I started by identifying what were the biggest key things that I really missed about home. I think those three things were, number one, my family, my friends, and the weather. I mean, I can't do anything about the weather. But family and friends, I think the point we've expressed here is we live in a digital age. It's really easy to call people. It's really easy to get in contact, stay in contact, and it just requires a little bit of effort. So whenever I'm studying and I want to take a break, or I'm just not feeling myself that day, I'll just call up a friend. I talk to my family almost daily. So there are, at least for me, there are definitely ways to kind of alleviate that homesickness for me. And then coming and visiting for winter break and fall break. That's been really nice for the weather part.
And I would just like to add on to that. I don't know if this method will work for everyone, but it definitely worked for me, is that I try to keep myself really busy so I don't linger on any negative, like, oh my God, I'm away from home, like, what am I gonna do, right? So if you kind of fill up your schedule, and that's just a good way to be like productive while still trying to make connections with new people.
Okay, thanks. Now, Leah also brought up like the idea of like dorming, and I know that's definitely going to be new for all of us when we're going into college. So, how did you guys find your roommate? And if you don't get along with your roommate, are there avenues to change, or how did you deal with that?
So I have a single, which is fantastic. I think I wanted one just because I felt like I wanted my own private space at the end of the day. So I would recommend it. I don't know if that worked for everyone, so.
I'm in a double, so I have one roommate. So there's like, if you guys aren't familiar, there's like Instagram pages where you can post your name and stuff. I didn't do that. I just got it randomly. It really depends. If you have any troubles with your roommates, you could talk to your RA. I know at BU they made us sit down with our roommate, and we had to like make a contract of stuff we would uphold. And my roommate hasn't upheld all of his contract, but so if he doesn't uphold the contract, I just go to my RA. But it's been pretty chill so far.
I live in a double, so I have one roommate, and I haven't had too many problems. He's a cleaner guy than me, I'd say. So if there are any problems, it's the other way. Not that I'm dirty or anything, but I haven't had too many problems other than he's in an a cappella group, so he sings sometimes when I'm trying to go to bed. But if you do have roommate issues, the contract thing Connor was talking about is pretty common. They did that in my dorming situation too. There's also, at least for mine, every semester you can apply to switch dorms. There's a lot of resources in a lot of colleges if you do have issues. And hopefully, I went random as well, but it worked out for the best for me.
Our freshman roommate assignments are all random, but I'm in a quad, and it's connected to another quad, so it's kind of like a super suite of 8 people, which is pretty cool. My roommate and I that like actually share a bedroom are fairly close. We're both athletes, so that helps with like maintaining schedules. Our other 2 roommates, I'll be honest, we don't really like hang out with that often. They kind of like, they're there in the same room sometimes, but not all the time. So I'm to answer Amaya's question about, finding people other than your roommates. It's very easy to make friends outside of your rooming situation, and having tension with your roommates is not necessarily going to predict the outcome of your social relationships. It's like totally fine. I'm very close with a lot of other people in my entryway, so it's definitely not been an issue for us.
I live in a double, and I chose my roommate off of the Instagram page, but you could also choose random. For me, I get along with my roommate, but I feel like I had a higher expectation. I think I wanted more of a friend out of a roommate than just someone that's going to be in my room. But we both get along. We both follow our agreement. I would just highly suggest figure out what you actually want. If you want a friend out of this, or you just want a decent roommate.
I live in a double, and my coach picked my roommate, and I begged my coach to switch me. And I actually love her now. She's literally my best friend. So my piece of advice is that you don't have to be exactly like your roommate. I feel like I wanted somebody that's exactly like me in the same major, and her and I are very different, but we live very well together because we have the same, we like to wake up at the same time, we go to bed at the same time, we're the same cleanliness. So I think some of those things are more important than what you see on Instagram or things like that.
Okay, now moving on to the topic of college admissions, what advice would you give to juniors or rising juniors or sophomores right now who will be applying in the coming year? Anyone can answer.
I would say know what you want. If you're just applying to a school for fun, that's okay, but also just think about other people and put yourself in that spot of maybe you want to get in, but someone else that didn't really want to got in, but you got rejected from it. Just to be mindful of other people, but it's okay to have safeties, targets in your reaches because that's totally normal and you should be doing that. Just think about other people. And then if you're getting rejected or deferred from a school, this has happened to a couple of my friends, people from here, but also at LMU too. I just say everything works out for a reason, and although it sounds really corny, and I know everyone probably is telling you guys that, but some people that ended up getting rejected from their top school or deferred or whatever, they actually ended up liking the school that they're at now, and they don't take any regret. They don't have any regrets about it. So trust, everything works out for a reason.
I would say the phrase "shoot for the stars," and if you miss, land on the clouds. I've absorbed a lot of job application process tips, and these are a lot of tips that I kind of realized that could really be applied to the college admissions process. And one of the big things is you gotta really picture yourself exactly where you want to end up. If you have a dream school, picture yourself there, and then look back and think, what steps do I need to take to put myself in that position? And you can look on past successes. I say just put yourself in those shoes and really aim to be the best you can be, because there's no detriment to doing that. And if you don't end up exactly where you want to be, or you get hit with a little disappointing deferral, you put in the work already. And like Leo was saying, you will end up where you're meant to be. So if you have a dream college and you really want to be there, I say go for it, push yourself. After next year, there isn't a second chance. So do your best.
There's always the transfer portal if you don't like your college. But also, don't be afraid of rejection. Like I applied to the best school I thought I'd get in, and I didn't like apply to any schools that I thought I couldn't get into. But I say just like apply to any school. Like at the end of the day, it's the end of the day.
Sorry. Wow. Okay. Yeah. So I got deferred from my first choice, and then I got rejected, which was not great because really the hardest part is waiting, and I'm sure a lot of you are realizing that right around now. But yeah, what they said, it's like you do end up at a place you're gonna love. You're gonna find people that make you happy that you're there, right? So I would just say don't worry about it too much right now because there's not really much you can do once you send in those applications.
Okay, so you guys kind of answered my next question about going through deferrals and other non-acceptances. So we're just going to move on to how to get involved in different organizations on campus. So how did you guys find out about any clubs or organizations on campus? And if you're a part of any, how do you balance those clubs with your schoolwork?
So what I did was I talked to a couple people who like went to Cornell already, and they told me about a couple clubs that they thought I might be interested. So once I got to campus, I looked them up and contacted them to see if I could join. And then the big thing you need to look out for is know when your club fest is, which I'm pretty sure all the schools have. So I would just go around, look at everything. Even if you're not super interested, you should just see what they're about because you never know.
Look off campus because the club that I'm most involved in got banned off campus. So yeah, be aware.
Okay. So I want to bring up, for a lot of pre-professional clubs, it's a little cutthroat. And some of these clubs have lower acceptance rates than the college itself. I know because I go to UPenn, Wharton's on campus, so there's a big thing with the business and the consulting clubs, groups on campus. I'm involved in Penn Electric Racing, which is the school's, to put it, it's our most elite engineering club on campus. And it was a very it wasn't meant to, I'm trying to, the reason I said that is to talk about the application process. I probably pulled 3 or 4 all-nighters for the application process, and I had to design, mechanisms from scratch and learn physics concepts that I had never even seen in class before. So those are, but the point I'm saying that is you really, there's a lot of ways to get involved, and there's a lot of different paths to do that, and you can put yourself through anything you want to. You can join fun groups that are just, you just apply and you go to those, or you can be like me and put yourself through a lot of work, but you get what you put in. So that's just the point I wanted to emphasize. At any college, there's a lot of ways to do things, and I think that application process has made me a better person and a better engineer.
I had an involvement fair, and they had like the fraternities, sororities, and then like cultural clubs, and just all things in between. You don't really have like a sign-up process for it. You kind of just show up, and they just tell you to follow their socials so you can keep up with their events. One thing I will say, I don't know if it's just my college, but a lot of the clubs have dues that you have to pay like $10 to be involved or like to stay in the club. So it's just one thing to be mindful of. But you're probably gonna sign up for a lot of clubs. Like I may be signed up for 11 and I'm only like really involved in 2. So it's okay if you don't get to everything because there's gonna be so much.
So my next question is specific more towards Zara and Sydney for being athletes. Wait, where's my question? Oh, how do you manage playing sports in college? And if you weren't playing at Division II or Division I, would you have been involved in any intramural or club sports?
I think that volleyball just gave me an avenue of having a built-in family. There's 30 girls on my team. I have seniors that take care of me. I just have like so much support. Managing it, I think that at the beginning it was a little bit challenging just because it's just so much. But you have 15 other girls that are freshmen that are coming in and doing the exact same thing as you. You guys are going to the library together, going to lifts, going to practice. And even if I didn't play like in a division, I definitely would recommend being involved in intramurals, just because that's a great way to meet people, stay active. It just gets you out of your dorm and like gives you something to do.
Yeah, definitely want to highlight what Sydney was talking about as having a built-in friend group on campus. The fencing team is where I made friends the fastest and the easiest because we have something in common, and they all like push me to be better. We all push each other to be better because it's just such an accomplished team. I mean, I was fencing before college, so it was the recruitment process was a big part of my college application process, but I would say even if I didn't get recruited, I would still try to be involved either with the club fencing team or try to walk on or try some other intramural sport. I think if you're an athlete, if you grew up being an athlete, it makes sense to continue being an athlete in some capacity on a college campus, just because of the community that you get to be involved in. And ultimately, it's just another avenue for personal growth. College is a place to grow in a variety of aspects, so continuing your athletic pursuits is a good way to do that as well.
And then one of our last questions before we open it up to the audience. Once you guys are accepted, are there any opportunities available to you to seek more financial aid? And if so, how?
Well, my financial aid is a little bit more complicated because I have athletic and academic. So I knew my athletic before I even applied there because that's through the coach. And then once I got in, then I got my academic based off of like GPA and certain other like the supplementals that I wrote to like qualify for like the presidential scholarship.
Mainly, most of your scholarships will come from your merit GPA, stuff like that, and also your need base. So I was able to get a pretty high scholarship for LMU, and then I just tried asking for more aid after I got my whole offer. I tried doing an appeal. I got denied because they just said the only reason like we'd give me more aid is if other people start rejecting their scholarships, and I knew that was not happening. So I kind of just rolled with that, and then pretty recently, they sent out an email to, I'm pretty sure it was to everyone, but it was like alumni supported scholarships, and you had to like write an essay, and then you were able to get money through that. So I maybe got about like $10,000 from that too. So just make sure you check out your emails because there's a lot of scholarship opportunities, and then make sure you also keep applying to outside scholarships because you'll need them for a long time.
Yeah, there are so many ways to get funding for college outside of just the institution itself. My biggest advice is just to cast a wide net, like look up every possible scholarship search you can find and just apply absolutely everywhere. Like you're gonna get rejected, whatever, seven times out of 10, but every now and then you might get some funds here and there. Also, once you get into college, there's a variety of opportunities for undergraduate scholarships. There's programs like summer programs that give you stipends and things like that, and even if it's just a few grand, it'll still help you out little by little. So just keep your eyes open and just apply everywhere you can. Even if it's like a last minute submission, just try anyway because you never know.
I second what Zara's saying. I would also say that for a couple of our universities here, they do not offer any merit aid. So there's no way to like have good grades and prove and then receive money for that. So there's a lot of other ends. I'd say third-party scholarships are an option. If you do need the money, schools will give you financial aid if you demonstrate need. But there's, on my campus at least, there's a lot of work-study programs. And this one friend I have, she works at the theater, and she basically leads people to their seats and makes sure no one's taking pictures of the concert, and she makes pretty good money, decent money. So there's always those opportunities, but do beware. If you are on financial aid and you do a work-study program, a lot of the time they dock that from your financial aid because you're no longer demonstrating that need. So once you're in college, talk to the financial aid department if you make any decisions regarding your finances.
At BU, there's a whole department for scholarships and fellowships. So during your undergrad, you could apply for that. And also there's different ways to save money. Like you could get a different meal plan. You could apply to be an RA. If you're an RA, they give you free housing. And at BU, they give a $1,000 stipend per semester. So be on the lookout for like any opportunities that there are.
Yeah, they pretty much covered it. I would say if you're planning on doing things over summer as well in college, there's a lot of on-campus things you could probably apply for, like grants that might cover anything you might want to do. So yeah, just constantly be on the lookout, check your emails, that kind of stuff.
Okay, great. Now we're going to open up the questions to the audience. So raise your hand if you have any questions. And okay, Ms. Demanis.
We want to know what is the club that got banned off
Okay.
No. Okay, so the club that got banned off campus is because they exercised their First Amendment right of having a protest. Yeah, so basically that's it. B wasn't too happy about it. There were some allegations that were just unfounded about like potential. I won't get into that. No, it's the YDSA. Without getting too political, I'm not going to say like the actual name, but just look it up.
Okay, other questions? Oh, right there, sorry.
So I was a preferred walk-on.
What was the hardest and the easiest part of recruitment for the athletes?
Yeah, I was trying to get recruited all of my junior and early senior year. So there was a lot of hurdles in that whole entire process. I would say at the end of the day, don't be discouraged by whatever outcomes occur from talking to coaches. Talk to as many coaches as you can. Talk to them early on. Don't be afraid of reaching out. Don't be afraid of emailing them twice or multiple times if they don't get back to you. But at the end of the day, you are gonna end up where you're supposed to be. And if you, just play the cards that you have. If you're ranked highly in your sport, make sure to highlight those accomplishments. If you're a strong student, make sure to highlight those accomplishments too, because recent NCAA lawsuits, they also are looking for strong student athletes. If you don't have, a sufficient GPA, they might not let you in. So if you have good academic accomplishments, make sure to highlight those too, because in many cases they may outweigh other potential candidates' athletic accomplishments. So just put your best foot forward and hope for the best, and cast a wide net again in this area as well.
I think the hardest part is that we're looking at college as like a sophomore and trying to decide where we want to go, and you have no idea. Like, regular applicants are making their decisions when they're 18 years old, and I had a coach telling me that I had to make a decision when I was like 16. So I feel like sometimes those are harder just because everything is earlier. But I think a big piece of advice that I would give you is that make sure you like everything about it. It's not just about the sport. You have to like the major, the programs, the people there, just everything about it, because people get there and then they're not happy about other things other than volleyball. And that's why so many people transfer.
Ms. Lustig?
Hi guys, so great to see you. So proud of you. We often hear about the differences regarding academics in high school and academics in college, right? Not only in terms of the ownership and responsibility that you have to take on, but also lectures versus discussions, personalized attention that you get here at Meadows versus maybe a little bit more anonymity, having graduate students teaching you in college, and maybe also the expectations when it comes to, homework versus exams and how much that weighs on your grades. Can you, the whole gamut. I feel like a lot of our students don't really understand how college classes are different than high school. Can you, each of you, go through some of the most profound differences that you've encountered and give them a picture of that?
So I feel like the biggest difference for me is how grades work. So obviously I'm in nursing, and everything comes down to basically 4 grades per class. So I have 4 exams for anatomy, 4 exams for my lab, and there's no filler assignments, basically. So every exam is worth 25% of my grade. And a lot of kids end up having to drop out of nursing because they don't understand how to study. Because we go to the lecture 3 times a week, he teaches us, we go on our way, and kids have no idea how to prepare for those exams that are worth so much. And I think that Meadows specifically, AP Bio and things that really are centered around my degree really helped me study, and I feel like that gave me so much more of an advantage. And also just Meadows taught me that I should go and talk to my teachers, and I already have that confidence to do that, and that really helped me in college as well.
You definitely you'll see it, but you don't really get that attention like Miss Lustig was saying. It's kind of weird because like your classes are only a semester long and you're like, okay, bye now. Like, what do you do now? Because you're probably not going to have them again. So that's definitely a bit of a change because you'll also see it in your grades. Like, it's kind of more difficult to really bond with your teachers now. My grading system is almost same as Sydney's. It kind of just depends on the class though, because some of my classes are like solely based off of how well or bad the class does, and that determines my grade. Some of them are actually like individually based, but most of my stuff is just if you show up to class, sometimes attendance is not required, so it's kind of on you. But you show up to class, you learn the material, and then they say a test in however many weeks, and then they call it midterms too. But you don't really have like the little worksheets or stuff like that anymore. So it's really on you if you want to show up and do the work or not. But it's definitely weighted a lot more, and there's like rarely curving anymore, so get used to that.
Yeah, in college, there's a lot of your work becomes self-study, because you like go to lectures, you go to classes, the professors are typically, and at least in my experience, very good. My TAs have been really good too. But at the end of the day, it's up to you to kind of do the preparation for those big exams, as Sydney and Leah have mentioned, because they make up such a huge portion of your grade that you can't really risk too much on them. So, and that being said, there's always a bunch of resources available on campus. There's always office hours that happen up until like 10 p.m. on Sundays in some cases. And it's just a matter of kind of figuring out how to go about taking advantage of those resources, because they are at your disposal. It just comes down to being organized and being driven enough to actually, use them. There was one more thing I was going to mention, but I forgot. Something that I've noticed in my college experience is that the classes aren't standardized like structurally as much as they are in high school. So the way one professor organizes his or her class is going to be very different than how another professor organizes their class. So you have to kind of adapt on a class-by-class basis how you're going to study, how you're going to prepare, how you're going to approach office hours and things like that, because it is very different from grading to how they run lectures and everything. So yeah, you have to be a lot more like quick adapting than you do in high school, I think.
So about a year ago, I visited my friend Alberto Pereira in DC. He attends AU, and we had lunch, and he told me, oh, you're going to go to college, and the classes are easier than high school. With that out there, if you want your classes to be easier than they are in high school, do not do anything related to STEM or engineering. Like stay away, because the physics class and the math class I took last semester, I technically already took at Meadows. And I had a really difficult time in those classes. And it's not only because you're in class for less hours. I had about 16 hours of class. Next semester, I'm going to have 32 hours of class. But I had 16 hours of class last semester, but the first day of class, I went in, and when they went over the syllabus, they said, okay, if you want to score well in this class, we expect about 20 to 25 hours of work put into this class every week. And it's not only are you putting in a lot of coursework outside of the class time, but you have a lot of other things going on. You have to figure out when to do your laundry. Hopefully, you guys will be doing that a lot. You gotta figure out, like, where am I going to eat? Your parents aren't taking care of your meals anymore, or buying food for you. You got to figure out your finances. You got to figure all of these things out, what it means to be an adult and living independently on top of an increased course load, on top of all these clubs you want to be involved in. My entire Saturdays are gone because I'm doing club work. So it's a lot of time management. And for me, that's where the biggest challenge came from. Not just the increased course load, but the time management aspect of it.
You have to hold yourself accountable a lot more. Like when I first failed my first biology paper in 9th grade, Instructor Cotter pulled me aside and was like, what's up, what's going on? But in college, if you get a failing grade, there's no one that's gonna pull you aside, that's asking like, what's going on? Like, how can I help? You have to do this for yourself. And a big thing I'd recommend to help hold yourself accountable more is take as many notes as possible. Like that was my mindset going into college, and I think that's a really easy thing you guys can practice now. I took notes for every single class, even if I knew the stuff. Even I just took notes. I wrote everything down, everything the professor said, everything on the screen, and I did good enough. I did pretty good. So just holding yourself accountable and go to office hours. I promise you, go to office hours, especially for the hard classes where the professor's there. It makes everything so much clearer.
Yeah, so I agree with everything they said. Also, when you're looking into what courses you want to take each semester, definitely look up the professors, look up what like people said about that course, because my school is kind of like some of those others where they're like, each course is very different based on what the professor thinks. So sometimes I have ones where they do grade homework assignments, and another class I had one where it was 2 exams, and that was it. So I would say definitely look it up. Rate My Professor is, I don't know if it's 100% trustworthy, but it's definitely worth taking a look at. And then I would say, when they say show up to class, they don't mean sit in the back row and then like play Clash the whole time, right? They mean like actually go, try to engage with the work, like think about it, right? And that's how you're gonna make the most of your college experience, because otherwise why are you there, right? Yeah.
Okay, we have a question from Mr. Ronquillo. If you guys ever get sick on campus, how do you guys deal with that? And does your school have any like medicine or like urgent care, you know?
Yeah, so I went to the East Coast, and on the East Coast you get sick a lot, especially if you grew up here, right? And it's super cold, and the weather kind of makes you want to die. So our school has our like Cornell Health, so they offer separate health insurance, and there's like a little check-in you can go to. I got really sick this semester, and I did not use it, and that was a mistake. So you should definitely use your on-campus resources.
You'll get sick a lot your first year. It's this whole phenomenon. I'm sure everyone here has gotten sick at least 2 or 3 times. But yeah, the school usually provides like a student health services that you can go to. I went there once. They're pretty helpful, and there's some people there that could give you some prescriptions if you need them. So
There's a phenomenon. It's called freshman flu, also colloquially referred to as frat flu. Make sure you make good choices, by the way. But a freshman, I don't know, going back to the weather, yes, especially on the East Coast, where we're not used to that weather. It gets colder, and it's really tough to, get stuck in bed and basically sleeping most of the days when you have all this course load piling up. I got sick during the club application process. I was coughing really bad. And it was just a really bad experience. So to the resources on campus, I go to school in a pretty large city. So luckily everything I need was very close to me. There was a pharmacy just across the street. My parents ordered me some medicine. Shout out to my parents. And I got better soon. There's a lot of resources on campus, especially if your campus has a pretty good medicine program. So pre-med people, look for Penn. We have a pretty good medicine program. And they have like clinics on campus. They give us free flu shots at one point, which was awesome. So yeah, a lot of resources usually.
Yeah, going back to what I said about professors structuring their classes kind of however they want to, you're not going to be immune from the freshman flu. Like, you're going to get sick, and you're going to get sick for like a month and a half because your body's facing all these unknown pathogens because you're like on a different side of the country now. So prepare beforehand, read all of the syllabi for all of your classes because they're all going to be different, and they're all going to have different sick policies, and you're going to have to do different things in order to not like fail whatever assignments you have to do during the time that you are ill. So like do that, know what the expectation is if you do get sick, and also be proactive and communicative. And also don't be afraid to ask for extension and things like that. Most of the time they're going to get rejected, but your professor is not going to like think any less of you if you ask for an extension because you're sick. It never hurts to try, even if in their syllabus it says that they're not going to give you one, they might still do it anyway. So just like be prepared in advance and know what you have to do when you do get sick, and then just stay safe. Don't get other people sick if you can, but yeah.
I don't have to deal with East Coast weather because I'm in California. And the only thing you have to deal with is like humidity. But But we have the student health services too, and it's like a full-on doctor's office. Like it literally looks like one too. Blood work, urine tests, they literally do everything there. So they've been really helpful. I also highly suggest if your school offers health insurance, like to sign up for it, definitely do it. It has been so much more helpful. Like I'm double insured now, like for Nevada and California too. But just having both of those also like lower your rates too. So I am very grateful that I have my health insurance on campus. I'm not sure if my school provides medications like to me like on campus, but I have like a CVS down the hill from my school that a shuttle can take me to. But I have the student health services, and then we also have like the psychological services too, and both are very like everyone there is so nice, and they definitely take care of you.
We also have like a community care center, but don't let the whole East Coast scare you. I did not get sick, and I'm also in the cold and with snow, so I don't know.
Okay, thank you guys for coming out and talking to us. Oh wait, Zara has one more thing.
This is really, really quick. I apologize for the getting sick thing. A lot of people are gonna want like proof that you're sick because professors don't just take an email and consider that proof. So, but additionally, it's gonna be super backed up to get like the campus care appointments because everyone else is also sick. So use like virtual health services, use like the CVS virtual stuff, Teladoc, things like that, and they'll give you like the proof that you need to demonstrate to your professor that you're ill. But yeah, just wanted to put that out there. It's a great hack.
Okay, thank you guys so much for coming out and talking to us.